I think as we saw the marketing for Doctor Who One Lucky Day, and we saw a straight white guy having a romance with Millie Gibson's Ruby Sunday, we all knew how this was going to play out. He was going to end up being a bad guy, and as just as night follows day, that's exactly what happened. And I thought it was going to be a bit of a low episode that wasn't going to be interesting, a filler, because we also knew from the marketing pretty obvious it was going to be a Doctor Light episode. But instead, we got an episode I can't stop thinking about. And because I can't stop thinking about it, I'm losing my voice. So, let's get on with it. As I ask once again, on Second Thoughts, welcome back to Movies TV Mad. I am Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. You can follow me on X Twitter at Movies TV Mad, and on Instagram and on Threads at Movies TV Mad. X, you can follow me on TikTok as well, Mad Mickey's World, and on Snapchat, BMouth60, Mick, your host with the most. A very warm welcome to Doctor Who Lucky Day, and on Second Thoughts, the video where I talk about my impression and my feelings after I rewatched the latest episode of Doctor Who. Woke up this morning and did that exact thing, rewatched One Lucky Day. And my feelings of it are even greater and exaggerated as they were before. It's still an episode I can't stop thinking about. Pete McTeague is a great writer. He's written for Doctor Who before, and we all loved him for that. But I think this is an even better episode than the last one he wrote for Chris Chibnall in the Chris Chibnall era. As I said yesterday, it makes some absolute valid points. And the fact of the episode is that really it discusses a world that is divided. You've got these two sides. You've got us lot in the middle, us normal sane lot. And you've got one side going, join us. We're right. They're wrong. We've got the other side saying, join us. We're right. They're wrong. And we're thinking, actually, we'd rather not join either of you. You're both extreme lunatics. And I think that's how reasonable people are feeling today. We don't know who to vote for anymore because they're all lunatics on each side, and they all hate certain members of the human race. And it's a bit troubling, isn't it? And this episode sums up that very aesthetic. But it's a very good episode, and I must congratulate the young man who played Conrad. Because even though it was pretty obvious that he was going to end up being a bad dude, because of his performance, his pure-hearted performance in the first half of the episode, you think, well, maybe he's going to be a good guy. Please be a good guy. Please be a good guy. And then as it's revealed that him and his friends are these extremists, and he's still looking nice, then all of a sudden, he has that evil expression on his face. What brilliant acting. He turns in one episode from one extreme to the other. And this is what acting's all about. If you want to learn about acting, watch this young man in this episode, because he is absolutely fantastic. And I mean that in every sense of the word. He's brilliant. But my feelings are, as it's revealed, he's a bad guy. I'm starting to hate the episode. I love it when there's a romance, even though I know something's going to happen, right? But as it's revealed, I think a moment before in the pub when Ruby, the old guy's going, who put you in charge? And she goes, all right then, big man, you take control or go outside or whatever. And I'm thinking, the man bashing has begun, and it's interesting how we go down that way. Now, I believe that Pete McTeague believes that the left are the good and the right are the bad, that your nerdrotics, and your disparoos are the bad ones. They're trying to influence us for coin, and there is an element of truth. Even though I consume those people because they amuse me, not because they influence me. It's very important to say. But there has been times when those types of people have influenced me. Russell Brand is a very interesting content creator. There was a time where I was influenced by him. Then slowly you notice how he's become overtly right-wing. Very, very interesting, isn't it? Was he always right-wing? Who knows? If you want to be right-wing, you can be right-wing. But it is interesting. So Pete McTeague's episode makes some valid points. Now, While I'm watching this episode, I'm wondering, how is the Doctor going to appear? Please don't make him turn up at unit, solve the problem while he puts down Conrad. That would be kind of annoying and simplistic, but this is not what McTeague does. There's a very interesting moment within this episode when Conrad puts down the Brigadier. Then Kate Stewart goes ballistic. Not only does she say to him, "Don't talk to my dad like that," about my dad like that, she turns. She's willing to see him dead, and she lets the alien out of its cage. And as I said yesterday, as I'm watching this, I'm thinking, this is a bluff. The Doctor's going to come out. It was all a trick. They set this up before Conrad got into the bunker. But no, Kate is willing to let him die because he's exposed their names, right? This is a clever bloke. Whether you think he's an evil so-and-so or not, he's a clever bloke. He's been planning this for ages. I think a journalist was saying on X Twitter, why didn't Ruby do a background check? But why would she? Ruby is just an ordinary girl living her life. She's been missing the Doctor. She can't move on, as we saw her family saying. So when someone says, I've been investigating the Doctor all my life, I had an experience. He gave me 50p. I love the guy. He gave, I've been wearing it around my neck. She believes it. He's a good-looking, charming guy. In a way, he reminds her of the Doctor. She's not moving on from the Doctor. So Ruby's part in all of this is understandable. And Millie Gibson gives a tremendous performance because Millie Gibson has always been a great actor. I fell in love with Millie as an actor when I watched her on Corrie. She was tremendous on that show. And part of me kind of wishes she never quit Corrie for her own career, because the path she's taking is risky. As we can see, they devalued her role last year, and I think we know why. Disney obviously, really forced their will there and said, right, Verada Sefu is going to be the companion. We want a bit more representation and inclusion. But despite all of that, I think Belinda has been an outstanding companion thus far. And I don't really get the attacks of her being annoying and bossy. I actually think she's a really good companion. But we know why those people don't like Belinda. I think we all know, one person saying, what a breath of fresh air it was to have Millie back. We know why you're saying that. So we don't want to step all on that. But peak McTeague is really peaking this episode because the way they use the Doctor in this episode is brilliant. Only the Doctor can make a friend, meet a small boy and then make an enemy out of him when he becomes an adult. But this guy has a lot of knowledge. He's somehow corrupted the unit computers and he knows everything about the Doctor. But is there more to Conrad than meets the eye? Could he possibly be the Master? Will the Master show up? Now, during RTD2 Series 1, RTD was saying, that it's too soon to bring back the Master. We're going to give the Master a break. We're giving the Daleks a break, blah, blah, blah. None of these classic, monsters are showing up right now. Will they show up? Well, we know the finale is called The Reality War. Surely in the finale, RTD is going to use this finally as an excuse for us to see the Cybermen and the Daleks, and maybe the Master will reveal himself. So there's two peak scenes as we get to the end, because this is a great episode. Whether you like what they're trying to say within the episode or not, whether you agree with the fact that it's a Doctor Light episode, it's really good. Especially when things go dark. It goes insane then. It's brilliant. But two peak scenes. When the Doctor brings Conrad up to the TARDIS, it's absolutely sensational stuff. And the Doctor is making these valid points. I think at that point, Ncuti Gatwa finally becomes the Doctor. In my eyes, he finally becomes the Doctor. It's like that moment in Last of the Time Lords when Tennant rises back from like the little guy he becomes, and then when everyone's saying Doctor, Doctor, that's when he became the Doctor for me. And I think this is the moment Ncuti Gatwa became the Doctor. It's a great scene. The Doctor's making some valid points, but then Conrad pushes back with a great point. Yes, Doctor, you've travelled with a lot of people. At that moment, the Doctor takes a step back and remembers selfishly how many people he's taken with him. Some of them, like Adric, have actually died because of him. And that's not lost on the Doctor. All of a sudden, Conrad one-ups him. He says, I reject your point of view. Put me back in my cell. The Doctor literally tells him that he's going to die in a cell, and Conrad don't give a crap. It's like he thinks he can avoid his own destiny, and that's the second peak scene. Every episode this season, we're going to see a reveal of Mrs. Flood, and this is the best so far. She's a prison warden, or she appears to be a prison warden with some keys, but she turns around and says to Conrad, I'm the governor. Can the governor be another term for master? I don't know. It's your lucky day. So they use the episode title. I think this is a peak episode of Doctor Who. There's going to be a lot of people who try and tell you this is a bad episode, this is woke, or whatever. You know, at the end of the day, it's up to you what you think. I think this is shaping up to be a very special season of Doctor Who. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I don't know what went wrong with season, RTD2 season 1. I don't really know what went wrong with those specials. It weren't that it was bad Doctor Who. It was just mid, mundane, unremarkable, unmemorable Doctor Who. But Series 2 is back to RTD at his very best.